Good morning. I am Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you. Going to spend some time talking to you about you and your business. You know, a really hot topic we hear about all the time is immigration law, and Houston, Texas, in particular, lots of interest in immigration law. But it's obviously a big issue nationwide. Becki Young, she's a founder and partner of the Hammond Young Immigration Law Firm. And Becki, we're delighted to have you on the program. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice.
Sure, Kevin. Thanks so much for having me this morning. Hammond Young Immigration Law is a three-lawyer, woman-owned boutique business immigration law firm in the Washington, D.C. area. And we help businesses bring talent from overseas legally, and we help them to keep their workforces here legally and in compliance with all of the laws. We have a strategic alliance with another woman-owned small immigration law firm called Grossman Law, also in the D.C. area, and they focus on non-business immigration, so criminal immigration, deportation, and litigation-type cases. And together, the two firms have a pretty unique business proposition. Most immigration law firms focus either on business or non-business immigration, but our two firms together are able to offer the full complement of services to our clients.
Very good, very good. When did you guys get started?
So Hammond Young has been around for about 2 years now, and we entered into our agreement with Grossman Law just a few months ago, but they've been in business also for some years.
Mm-hmm. And talk a little bit, when people think of immigration, they think about presidential debates and all that kind of banter. But the reality is that we actually have a pretty significant shortage of talent in certain areas that I'm pretty convinced can only be satisfied through immigration law. Through immigration. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more.
I would have been shocked if you disagreed with me. But that is my conviction, and so I'm glad there's firms like you that help us fulfill those legitimate needs. Go right ahead.
Sure. So the processes that our clients have to go through are not easy and they're not inexpensive. And if for no other reason than that, I'm firmly convinced that companies wouldn't go through all of these hoops if they could find U.S. workers to fill the jobs that need to be filled. But in certain cases, just as an example, employers in rural areas who need highly skilled workers, sometimes they can't find Americans to do those jobs. Unskilled jobs, too, unskilled or low-skilled jobs can often be an area where there just aren't Americans who are lining up to take those positions. And so, it's not a painless process for the clients, and I think they really only do it because they're filling a real business need.
Yeah, no question about it. So, what is the status today? Is it harder, easier? Kind of give us a sense, a feel for what it's like right now.
So, I've been working in this field for about 20 years, and I would say it definitely just gets harder and harder. Which I guess, on the one hand is frustrating, but on the other hand means that I will never be out of a job. And I would definitely say that after September 11th, things tightened up quite a lot from a security perspective. But recently we've seen at the Immigration Service what we label as a culture of no. So they just look at everything with an eye to denying it, rather than, the burden, there's a, legally speaking, as long as you can prove your case by a preponderance of the evidence, they should approve it. But in fact, they really place a very high burden, higher than I think is legally appropriate, on the employers to prove their case and to prove that they really need the workers that they're trying to hire.
Interesting. And so kind of give us a time frame, for, I'm sure there is no such thing as typical, but, what is your sense? What are you seeing from the time someone walks into your offices until they're in good stead, and talk about that scenario first. I'll give you another one after that.
Sure. I think, it does vary widely. In business immigration, we have what's called an alphabet soup. So, for example, you might have read about H-1B visas. They're in the news a lot. But there are visas, A, B, C, et cetera. And so each visa has a different process and a different amount of time. But the H-1B, for example, you can only get it once a year. And that's on October 1st. You can only start working once a year, but you have to file on April 1st. So employers really have to plan ahead. And there's also a cap on those visas. So you have about a 30% chance, if you file a case, of even getting them to take a look at it. 70% of the cases that are sent to them for this once-a-year lottery, they just reject because there's a quota and it gets overfilled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. And then are most of your clients people that walk in, or are they people that are trying to get in before they even get here?
So for our firm, and Grossman Law has a slightly different experience because they do work more with family-based clients and people who might be in deportation or removal proceedings who are already here in the country. Our firm, because we do business immigration, we do have some clients in the local D.C. area, but we also have many clients around the country and around the world. And, at least half of the clients we work with when we start are outside the country, and so we help them to, devise a plan to get themselves here legally and then to remain legally throughout their stay, which is sometimes harder than you might think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is the, prospects in 2016? I'm sure there's always legislation out there. Are you seeing anything moving in your direction?
Well, there's always talk about legislation, and there are lots of policy proposals in the air. We'll see what the election brings. There's one issue that we're following closely here, which relates to what's called OPT, or training for students. So when foreign students come to the U.S., they're usually the best and the brightest in their home countries, and they can work for a certain period of time in the United States. And, many employers are very pleased about that because they get these very talented foreign graduates, but some U.S. workers are not in favor of this. So the issue of whether these students should be allowed to have work authorization after they complete their studies here is being litigated right now, and we should be hearing something in the next few months. So we're following that very closely because it will impact many of our clients.
Are you working exclusively with people in the greater D.C. area, or do you have clients around the country?
No, we have clients all around the country and really all around the world. I would say maybe only 10% of our clients are in the D.C. area, but many in New York, many on the West Coast, and really all over the place.
Yeah, very good. Well, I appreciate your time today. The best website for people to go to learn more?
It's hyimmigration.com.
hyimmigration.com. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you, the best content here shows up over there at usdailyreview.com. Plus, don't forget to check out our national TV show Sundays at 10:30 Central Time on the Biz TV network. You're listening to The Price of Business.